Losing to Trabzonspor means that they are 1 point behind us, and if Fenerbahce wins today against Besiktas, they're also 1 point behind us. Of course, Galatasaray has played one less game, but they will face Göztepe away in a very difficult game. And as we saw against Trabzonspor, Galatasaray are totally different with and without Osimhen. And I just want to mention one more thing, that people who said after the Başakşehir game, after the Beşiktaş game, that Galatasaray are champion or champions or whatever, they have clearly not seen a lot of football in their life. Going into the last stage of the fixture, these teams who are fighting for relegation, who are fighting for European places, are fighting for championship, it's just so difficult, especially away. So, but talk just about ratings and everything, I'm so tired of it. Our 11 against Trabzonspor was Uğurcan Çakır in goal, Wilfred Singo as right back, Davinson Sanchez and Abdülkerim as centre backs, Jakobs as left back, Torreira and Lemina as centre midfielders, Barış Alper and Noah Lang as wingers, Yunus Akgün as number 10 and Mauri Icardi on top. I just want to say this clearly, that Trabzonspor deserved the win, especially in the first half. Who is to blame and everything? I will start with Okan Hoca. His planning into this game was not good enough. I know it's very difficult, especially after the national break, where so many of our players was going out and playing national team. So it's very difficult to train tactics and so on. But our first goal, for example, comes from Mauri Icardi, who has not been on national team break, I will say, because when you're pressing man-man and you are freeing up your player, you need to be so sure that you are pressing that player with so much intensity that he can't play into your man. So many teams nowadays are playing man-man system. It's not just Galatasaray. The most important thing is to not free up your player who you are marking. But time after time, Mauri Icardi has done this. Especially, for example, against Başakşehir in the cup game. I remember I was so frustrated looking at Mauri Icardi there as well. I said before the game that I think that Mauri Icardi should start, because with Barış Alper as a number 9, it just doesn't work either, especially against good teams. So, but to see Mauri Icardi's state was just, Okan Hoca sees this on training every day. So you can clearly understand that why he doesn't want to put him in against Liverpool when Osimhen is injured and so on, because he's not ready mentally or physically. Why do you press Onana there so Savic get totally open and with no intensity? Why do you run up there? Why? When Onana is turning the play there, I know that 5 other things are happening with Jakobs, with Noah Lang, with Davinson Sanchez not marking his player on Onacho, how easy Jakobs and Noah Lang is getting gripped past by Pina. I know that that's also very bad. But when that player is getting freed up, it is overload everywhere on the pitch. For me, that's unacceptable, to have a player who is doing everything on his own there. It's just unacceptable to see that running into press there. He's not even running, he's jogging into the press. Every normal team can take advantage of that. Every normal team should take notice of that. Because that is just, it's not only about fitness, it is also about discipline. You are running there and not following Galatasaray's plan whatsoever. Because when they are turning the play, there are players are on the right side there, and when Mauri Icardi is going into Onana there, Savic on our left side is totally open. And of course, what Jakobs is doing, what Noah Lang is doing. Jakobs was extremely weak in this game. Noah Lang, he can't even run with his finger. You see that he can't coordinate. He doesn't want to go into duels. He doesn't want to get body contact. How can you start with a player who is 40%. And when we really needed him against Liverpool away, how could you not start with him? I just don't understand this. You have a Salah who is ready to play. I know that he struggled against Liverpool as a winger, but he is 10 times better than Noah Lang, who is 40%, 30%. How did he play more than 60 minutes? I don't understand. That he took out Jacobs after halftime is totally the correct thing, because he was nowhere near there. It's not only him, it's the whole team. And that comes for me back to Okan Hoxha, that he didn't plan this good enough. Torreira was totally one of the weakest games I've seen from him. But you can't, it is so difficult to say that this player or that player was weak when the whole team was just extremely weak. It was one player or two players for me who was good or okay, and that was Wilfred Singo, who scored a goal. Yes, he had some disadvantages as well. He did some errors and so on. But he, looking at the other players, he was much better than them. And also Barış Alper, who I think was our best player, who tries every time. He's the last player you can say like he is not good enough or blah 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 blah, because in these types of game he's one of the very few players who stands out. Another player I want to talk about is Yunus Akgün. If he wants to play an important role in the World Cup, he really needs to step up. If it is something about his knees or whatever, I don't know. But he is not the same Yunus Akgün as last year when it comes to the sharpness, when it comes to the technical abilities and so on. His form is just nowhere near there. It is just our plan, it didn't work. For example, Lemina dropping down so low, and when he's dropping down and you're trying to find Wilfred Sink or Jacobs, they're not clearly good in the build-ups. Wilfred Singo is good in the build-ups, I believe, because he can take the ball up with him, and from the right back situation he can, create big chance from his own place there, taking the ball up with him. But Jacobs on the other side, when he's weak with what he's best at, winning the balls, winning the 50-50s, when he's weak there, he's useless because he's not good with the ball either. Abdul Karim did not have his best day, yet he's trying to, dribble, he's trying to cross, he's trying to shoot. When you have a very, he played a very important game against Kosovo. He's not clearly there mentally either, and it's very understandable. But then why are you trying to do the most difficult things? Why? I just don't understand it. When you don't have your day, do the easy things first. What is he doing? He's doing this flicking thing, he's trying to shoot, he's trying to cross. I don't understand it. We started the second half well, I believe, with the goal from Barış Alper's assist to Wilfred Singo. But then, after that, I believe after a Barış Alper situation where VAR went into there to look at the red card, I believe after that we were totally out of the game. And I just want to mention that Erkan Engin on the VAR room to call out there, for me that's horrendous. How can you call Cihan Aydın there, the referee, to look at that situation? How is that a clear red card? Is it very risky by Barış Alper? Of course it is. It is extremely risky and he should not do it, but it's nowhere near a red card. And to call the referee there is for me just very bad intentions. But we all know Erkan Engin. If I'm not totally wrong, he had like a Twitter profile picture with himself on Fenerbahce Stadium. And it's no coincidence we remember the horrendous seasons, 1 or 2 seasons ago, where he was like VAR referee for Fenerbahce in like 20 games or what it was. If I'm wrong there, I'm sorry, but it was some crazy amount. So, yeah. Anyway, after that situation, Galatasaray was totally gone from the game. And Trabzonspor scoring from a set piece, we can't defend on the set piece. That's just a thing that we can't do anymore. We are considering so many goals from set pieces and scoring very little. We scored against Liverpool, but in general we are scoring very little there. So that's very sad because so many goals are coming from set pieces, corners, and so on. So to have a huge disadvantage there is just sad. And what another thing, how can Ilkay Gundogan be on the first zone there? How on the earth can Ilkay Gundogan be there on the second goal? That's for me again, it's just so weak planning, so weak management by our coach. Normally it is Osimhen or Mauri Icardi who is standing. If Mauri Icardi had stand there, we would not have considered that 2-1 goal for sure. For sure. So to have Ilkay Gundogan there, it's just for me very, it's just zero planning. But the whole game in total was just zero planning from our team, which is so sad because this game was so important. So yeah, I had in my, before we set up the preview video, I said that it's probably better to start with Mauri Icardi because seeing Barış Alper as number 9, I'm not impressed by that. But looking at Icardi's form, looking at his mindset and everything, for me he's finished. Okan Hoca probably has seen this on trainings. That's why he didn't put in, for example, Mauri Icardi when Osimhen got injured against Liverpool or other games where you could have said like, oh, Mauri Icardi should have started there or Mauri Icardi should have came in there. But Okan Hoca doesn't want to do that because he sees this every day that Mauri Icardi is, I'm not even saying physically, but mentally he's not there whatsoever and trying to do his own things. When he didn't run after the ball because he didn't get it from Jonas Akgün, for me, is that even a captain? I don't know. I know I'm saying huge words here, but that's just, it's not acceptable. So yeah, we lost an extremely important game, and I'm just so sad because everything led up to this game, with Trabzonspor trying to be our rivals, and they're not even touching our socks, to be honest, with how many championships, how big their club is, I'm talking about. Yet they're trying to be that annoying little brother or whatever who's trying to get attention. That we were not prepared for that. And well done to Trabzonspor, who did this successfully. For me, this team just didn't look motivated, and I know that's strange to say, but because it's much tactically, they were probably ready, but it didn't look like that. And I'm so tired of these Instagram posts, for example, from Mauri Icardi. I'm so tired. Yes, you are ready to take the criticize and that we are going to be champions and blah blah blah. I'm so tired of hearing people saying things. Do it by action, please. I can even say that I will do this and that. But if you're not showing it on trainings every day, in the games every day, what's the point? Then everybody can do it. So I'm tired of this playing with the fans. But yeah, it was totally deserved. And in the end of the season, we are going to talk about that. But this team needs to change out some players, because you see it's clearly that some players here are fed up with championship and everything. They are not giving 100% in the league, which is not acceptable. I know that it can happen here and there, but it's happening so many times. And when it happened against Fenerbahce in the Super Cup, and it happened here against Trabzonspor, and in Besiktas home, I can just say so many games, then it is not acceptable. I can understand it to a certain degree, but in overall it's not acceptable. And I believe that before it's too late. You need to change out some players, but we're going to talk about that when the season ends. Let's support the players who are here right now anyway. So yeah, just so frustrated with this game, and in the remaining fixture, it's going to be difficult. Again, as I said, people who said like we are champion or champions or whatever, facing Trabzonspor away, Göztepe away, even Gençlerbirliği away will be. Gençlerbirliği was fighting for relegation, will be a very difficult game. Samsunspor away, is that like a game you're going to win for 100%? Sure. Kasımpaşa, if they are fighting for relegation, we know how much we're struggling there away. Fenerbahce home, how many times have we won there in the last 4 or 5 years? You can probably say 1 or 2 times. I think home, I'm talking about home. It's going to be difficult, guys. So, but again, I can't be too negative. We need to support the team as long as we are fighting for something. Yeah, that was it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. It was probably a very negative video, but I need to get it out. So thanks for watching, and I hope to see you soon. Bye.